Fox News alert now. Maryland health officials say the state may be approaching the peak of its outbreak finally as social distancing helps flatten that curve. Maryland currently has more than 5,500 cases, though, and more than 120 deaths. Joining me now, the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan. Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Ed.
Good to see you, and you'll have to forgive me if Governor Cuomo here in New York may be having a news conference in a few moments. He's a Democrat who's gotten high marks for what he has done. You're a Republican. You've gotten high marks for what you've done on the ground. You acted early and tried to deal with this. Tell me what's happening at this hour in your state.
So our numbers continue to climb. We're a couple of weeks behind New York, but we took really aggressive and early action in our state, and we're hoping to lessen the problems here. But in the Baltimore-Washington corridor, we're now at about 12,000. We're probably about fifth or sixth in the nation. We've got about 5 million people in between those two cities, and our numbers continue to rise fairly rapidly. It's not nearly at the kind of situation you have in New York, but it's an area that now we got the federal government focused on as the Washington metropolitan area all the way through to Baltimore. And our state's got a pretty good population center right there surrounding those two cities where we've got issues, and it's growing rapidly.
What are you seeing in terms of hospitalizations? Because here in New York that you mentioned, Louisiana as well, we spoke to some officials there earlier this morning. They were going through maybe what you're going through now a few days ago, a week ago, and they're now seeing hospitalizations, new patients going into the hospital coming down. Are you lagging behind them where hospitalizations are still going up?
Yeah, so we're maybe 10 days to 2 weeks behind New York and Louisiana, but we're hoping to not nearly be as bad because we took actions several weeks earlier than they did. So I was the first governor in America to declare a state of emergency, one of the first or second to close all of the schools statewide. We've been really aggressive for the past 35 days, and we're hoping that's going to dampen some of these numbers, but we're definitely at the beginning of the climb as opposed to sort of at the apex where we believe they are, and they're hopefully starting to flatten out. We're hoping our climb isn't as steep, but we're still a couple of weeks away, 10 days, 14 days from reaching the top.
Got it. And what about the healthcare workers who are on the front lines? They've been doing heroic work in every state all across the country. Do they have the gear they need in your state?
Well, they're just incredible. They're putting their lives on the line for the rest of us, and my heart goes out to them. My appreciation goes out to them, and we're doing everything we possibly can to get them the protective equipment that they need, the masks and the shields and the gowns. But it's a difficult situation that we're all dealing with in every one of our states, and we're working with our federal partners, and each of the states is being as aggressive as they can to help our hospitals and our hospital systems get the things that we need to those healthcare workers that are on the front lines.
Last question, in terms of figuring out the schools moving forward, some governors have said, look, they're probably done for the entire year. Others saying they're hoping to get some school time back. I have to admit I have a conflict of interest here because my daughter Mila wants to know if you'll be able to help her with her homework there in Bethesda. But in all seriousness, what's happening on the ground with the schools, sir?
Well, I'd be happy to help her with her homework a little bit, but we haven't really made the final decision yet on schools. Schools usually are ending here in the middle of June. We're going to wait and see over the next couple of weeks exactly where we are, how much we're able to flatten this curve and what happens. But the state school superintendent is working with all of our 24 local school superintendents to try to make those decisions. And in the meantime, they're trying to do distance learning as much as possible online and sending home school plans. We're doing the best we can. We'd love to get them back open, but we don't want to do that if it's not safe.
Well, I've been getting the emails. You've been getting laptops to people who need them to get that distance learning going. I know it's been a lot of rough days, but you're dealing with a monumental task and doing it well. We appreciate all you're doing, and Governor, good luck in the days ahead.